Hi guys, welcome back to Kit Car Direct and MK Sportscars for part 4 of the RX-5 build. So if you haven't subscribed already, you can go back. You can see from the build process of this, we're trying to give you a bit more in-depth into how these RX-5s go together, which is a similar thing on the Fords as well that we do, but this is a Mazda based kit. If you're watching for the first time, using the 1.8 MX-5 MB engine, the 5 or the 6-speed gearbox, we're also using the VVT on this particular one, the Mazda diff, Mazda rear uprights, etc. wiring. But we've had some additions put onto this, so we're going to go through them now. Right, we're going to start at the front and we'll move through the vehicle, but one addition, you probably would have seen this in if you'd done in part 2, it would have probably been on. The radiator, the customers decided that they wanted to go for the slightly better radiator, the 55mm core aluminium one, rather than the sort of plastic and aluminium one, which is a nice upgrade, definitely helps with efficiency, and if you're doing a turbo upgrade later on, this is a definite must. So on to here, while we're in this area talking about cooling and filters and etc., in the engine bay, generally here, we've actually put the plenum on now. Now if I'll come around this side for you, you'll see that there is, you probably might not even remove this from the vehicle when you've got your donor vehicle done, but we've put a new gasket in here because this has come off to be prepped and painted, just to neat and tidy it up here. And then what we have here, this is the stock Mazda intake pipe. And then what we do is you've got the airflow meter here, which we do join in here and to the cone filter. We have a little custom bracket that we make, so Lewis will come around here and you'll see that this comes as part of the kit we can supply, which is you rivet on the little bracket here that picks up, it's a laser cut piece that picks up on the 2 bolts for the airflow meter. And if you're using that, it will vary depending if you're using that on the stock loom. If we're doing it with the aftermarket loom, you don't actually need it, but we put it in as a precaution. And then this comes in and is standard pickup onto the throttle body. Talking about the throttle body, in here we have the accelerator cable. This is one that's supplied in the kit. It's shortened, it's 1 meter in length. We P-clip it off the plenum here, fix it into the top section there. You can come lower if you want to into this one. There's 2 holes for picking up on that. That's using the standard Mazda bracket. It will come down here and then in and then joins the pedal box in here, and just at the bottom here there's a solderless nipple that goes in there, so that when you actuate in the throttle cable here, this is a spring loaded pedal, so it's a really nice moving, always returning, and you can adjust it there. And you've also got here, just here, a little screw which you can adjust and stop for your full throttle. So you want to make sure you've got full throttle, find full throttle, make sure that's open, fully open there, and then you can undo this nut and wind the stop in to touch the back of the pedal, and that gives you a full throttle, and also it stops you overextending and trying to snap the cable, which is 9 times out of 10 the failures of these accelerator cables is not having a throttle stop correctly set, so that when you go full throttle you're not trying to rip the solder out of the cable there going past it. So that's why we put that little adjuster in there for you. While we're in the engine bay area here, we've got the steering link bar which connects to the steering rack down here on a universal joint which is at the bottom, and the top one is off the Mazda. This particular part is a donor part that is modified by us on an exchange chargeable basis of modifying this, because this is a collapsible column. So in the event, unfortunate event, that you have an incident, this tube is sleeved here on a spine and it will slide up through and in here to stop injury to the occupants. So we modify that for you, so that's part of your kit. You need to supply that into us, or if you want to do it yourself, you're welcome to. We have specific measurements to do it all. And then using the standard Mazda column, which is this one, in the manual, it normally has 2 mounting brackets that come off here. These get trimmed off because it mounts on the Springwood bulkhead, and we supply you with a bracket that mounts on here for that, and then the top bracket is already welded onto the chassis, same as this one is, ready to locate your steering column, which has then got your ignition key, which forms one part of the immobilisation. A steering lock and a key is all you need. 2 forms, key and a steering lock. So that literally is IVA compliant. we're moving on back here. While we was in this area, we've now fitted the Mazda discs. These are cross-drilled, grooved and vented as per, it can go in plain as well, but you may use your donor existing ones. We've put these ones on because we've put our calipers. You can use the standard calipers. The customer's chosen a 4-pot wheelwood upgrade, which mounts to our bracket, which is a very simple bolt and affair. 2 bolts that go through here, and then 2 bolts that go through from the caliper. It's really that simple. Screw it onto there, and a bolt that goes through, and there's a countersunk bolt in there. And then we have this little fitting just on the caliper. This allows for clearances on the wing stay, so it's a 45-degree fitting coming out, and this will connect up to your braided hose. Now, you're going to screw that on. It's going to be a nice tight seal fit. You're going to make sure that then when you're tightening this up for the first time, when you pull the steering left to right, which we'll do like so, left and right. Ooh, give that a tug, it's a lot harder with. Oh God, God, try and move that. Yeah. Something gone on there. Go on. Oh, I cannot move that. No. What? Oh, a steering lock's gone on. So moving this left to right, no problems. And what you want to make sure is this, when you've got it in this position, you tighten it up so that on left to right position, this doesn't come into contact with any part of the components here. That is required for IVA to make sure there's no interference, because you don't want abrasion on the line. Right, whilst you're putting on your top wishbone here, you would have seen this particular bracket. This is designed for your headlight and your indicator all in one unit. This particular bolt is longer. So on these we normally use a 70mm bolt, and then through this section here it's a 75mm bolt. In that way it ensures you've got enough thread through the other side of the nylock, so just when you're assembling it there, making sure you're using the correct bolt in that location. That's a nice compact unit with the indicator and headlight all in one, and it allows you to thread. In here is a little hole, it allows you to thread all the cabling for the indicator down the tube, out and here, so it's not hidden. The other one could be on the outside then. It's just to neat and tidy that up for you. Right, while we're down in this section, we was just fitting here, we've got an engine earth. This is required because you've got a rubber mounted engine. So we've got an earth lead that we attach here on the block. This little M10 bolt, and then we're going to attach that to the underside of this engine mount under here. So it's kind of tucked and hidden out of the way, and then we'll secure that with a bolt. So I haven't fully fixed it to show you because it was easier. So we come off of here, that will tighten up, and then we can loosely undo the engine mount underneath here, and that will sit under there, and that would be your engine earth in position. You can do it in that location, or if you feel like it, you can bring it also to here, which is your brake tee. You've got enough cable to bring it into either location for you to sit that into that area. And those are the 2 locations you're putting onto that. While we're in this area, we've fitted here the brake level pots. These are IVA compliant caps. What they have in here, if you listen, is a float in there that will tell you if it drops below the level for the fuel level, and that's wired in here. And this will come up as a warning light on the dashboard. It's normally linked to the handbrake at the same time to give you a low level. That's required for IVA. You screw them in, and then there's 2 little plugs that will plug into that for you. Not a problem in there. And then in this area, you have to have this, what's called basically to provide that it's stock for fluid in this particular pot of what we are using, and this has to be within 150mm of the reservoir pots for IVA compliancy. So just to make sure pots are full when you're doing it, checking it at low level warning lights on there as well, and these are connected up, and this is in within 150mm of your brake reservoir pot. Now while we're in that, talking about labels and adjustments of braking, also in here for your brakes, you have to have, because this is a bias adjustable, this also has a sticker here saying about adjustment on the brake balance, that it needs to be approval and etc. on the requirements that are needed. That also has to be within the zone of this by 150mm. Get them in now, it's just a lot easier than afterwards once you build the vehicle. Right, next up we've moved into the front, and now we're going to go into the interior section. Last week is fitting of this rear tub. This is bonded and riveted on. We use 4mm rivets. These are laser cut panels and already have the holes in here, but you have to drill the chassis where they fix, and then it's a question of putting a bead along the chassis rails here just to stop any vibration. And then we do the same with the interior panels on the side. These come along and they have a bend here to attach it at the back, securing it here. And again, as you can just see it in here, guys, there's a little bead of silicone sticking out there. And then we have this laser tunnel top piece, which will be the final piece it will fit on. That's already been, you say, we drill into the chassis here. Once it's aligned, we'll bead that up, and then we'll put a 4mm rivet into the holes. These are all laser cut in the correct position for your gear lever and for your handbrake, so you don't have to line them up. We just centralise it, put it to the edge, drill the several holes that are in there. These are already in there, pre-lasered for you, so you just drill them into the chassis, bond that down, and that's secured for fixing. Now there is critiques out there that say, well, if you want to get access, well, you could riv nut it if you wanted to. If you want to make it a screw fitting, you can take it off at a later date. Hopefully, if you've done our job correctly, we shouldn't really need to be in the centre tunnel. And there is also access from underneath if you need to as well, if you need to access anything in that area. But there's another little top tip maybe. Before you put these on, these interior panels, I would suggest, if you've got your engine and everything else in, that you do your gearbox oil levels, etc. that's in there. Just makes life easier for filling it up, because it's a bit more tricky once the side panels are done. We normally use a syringe, otherwise there's a syringe system you can use and push that into it, but fill it up before you put the side panel on, make your life a little bit easier. On the rear of the vehicle, if you're running 13-inch wheels, if you're running a VVT disc, you'll have to run 15, because they are a much larger disc, a 270mm. If not, you'd have to run the 251, which is what this is. 251mm disc will fit under the 13-inch wheel. The 270mm disc will not. It's a different caliper and it's spaced out. This is a brand new caliper and hub assembly with cross-drilled and grooved solid discs on here as well. And this runs to then your standard Mazda caliper. Fits exactly as it does in the RX-5. There's a fitting here and it comes through to the spring return on the caliper, and we run the cable up through here with a couple of fixings here, just hold the cable nice and firm in place, and here, so that it moves with the vehicle, doesn't interfere with any bodywork or chassis components on it. And then if you need adjustment on these particular ones, on the handbrake on the Mazda, it's all done via the handbrake. There's actually a little screw fixing just here that you can adjust the tension on it if you need to, which fits into this section here, and this will adjust that pulley to give you a little bit more of adjustment. And there is another form of adjustment that's needed, if needed, which is just in here. It's going to be difficult to see, but just here there's a bolt right in this section here, and you undo this bolt, and in there is an Allen key head, and that gives you adjustment to push this piston, once you've set it up, to actually align that up with a pad and make sure it's got just off of touching, and then you can tighten that back up and lock it off. And that's what that's for. That's adjustments on there. So you've got two forms here and on the central handbrake. The final thing here is attaching these have a banjo braided line on the Mazda caliper, as they would in the Mazda MX-5. It's our one that's supplying the kit. We attach it down here so that it moves up and down. It's secured with these double loop cable ties with a rubber here, holding it in, connecting back into your hard line, your copper line here. So it's nice and simple, moves up and down, no abrasions or wear going to happen to that as well, no intrusions to the chassis or bodywork. And that's your final fixed piece for the rear brake system. Right, that's a wrap now, guys. I think that's enough information sharing for you for the part 4 of the RX-5 build. If you've got any questions or comments you'd like about on this particular one that we're building, or you want some more information, you can drop a comment below, or hook us up with a phone call, email or messenger, or come and see us at the factory and we can talk you through the process here. Hope you enjoyed what we're doing so far on this. As I say, like, share, subscribe. We will catch you next time.